Despite the influx of new Chinese car brands in recent years, the Japanese still rules the local non-national car segment in our country. And this is especially true for the C segment SUV, where the Mazda CX-5 and the Honda CR-V have been ruling the segment for years. But what if you're looking for something different, something maybe a little bit neglected, like the Korean here? So this is of course the new Hyundai Tucson in its range-topping 1.6T Max, and today's video we're going to check out what's so unique about this Korean SUV. My name is Muklis. Welcome back to Cari Cars. Alright, so for the 4th generation Tucson, Hyundai has taken the new sensuous sportiness design language, and it is very apparent in this Tucson here as it looks both aggressive and rather bold. Okay, at the front you get this parametric front grille design that is integrated with this LED DRL. Mind you, the headlights are actually located down there and the signal is within the DRL unit. And if we move to the side, the sportiness element continues with this 19-inch alloy wheels finished in two-tone with this 5-spoke. I kind of like it, some might not like it. And the car is actually unique from the side here. You can see it comes with this sculpted design from the front here, and it goes to the rear wheel arches also, so it gives the car a rather muscular stance. And of course, being an SUV, you got this underbody cladding that is actually squared. And if you move to the back, you can see the roof is rather sporty, but not too sporty as many coupe SUVs. But nonetheless, you'll meet with this stunning full-width LED taillight with this claw-like design. So overall, this K-pop SUV is a looker if you like it or not. But what do you think? Alright, so on board the Hyundai Tucson 1.6T Max, this is the top spec variant we got here. So it is laden both with tech and luxury amenities as expected in modern Korean cars. Okay, in terms of the cabin, you can see it uses lots of this premium material. You got leather steering wheel and lots of soft touches on the front dash and everything. And on the tech side, it's got this 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster, and you also got this 8-inch infotainment display with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, both wirelessly. But unfortunately, you don't have a head-up display like many of its rivals. But nonetheless, let's move to the central console here, and you can see it is a little bit more cleaner or more simpler than most cars, because first thing first, it comes with this button style gear switches instead of a lever, and you also got buttons for the ventilated seats, and down here you got the wireless charging pad, some USB charging ports. You also got cubbies and extra storage down here. But special for this car is actually the seats, because I think the seats is quite nice, and both front seats are actually powered 8-way adjustable, and both comes with both heated and ventilated function, so that's a good add-on. But unfortunately, if you look up, it's got no sunroof. But nonetheless, I think it's okay because you don't really need sunroof in this hot Malaysia weather anyway. Well, good news to report here, because life at the backseat of the Hyundai Tucson is a very spacious and comfortable one. Okay, first thing first, you can see I got plenty of leg room and ample headroom, and the front seat has been adjusted to my direct position. So I'm a pretty big guy, I'm 175 cm tall. So you can see the room boosted by the rear seat here is very nice. This is because the Tucson actually has the longest wheelbase compared to its other rivals, measuring 2755mm. And in terms of seat, you got the same leather material as the front one, although it's got no ventilated function, but the backrest can be reclinable, so it gives you an extra degree of adjustableness. So in the longer trip, you can just lie down and relax inside the car. And apart from that, you also get dedicated aircon vents front here, 2 USB charging ports, so it goes to show that life at the back seat of the Tucson is a very nice one. And this goes to show that the Tucson is very strong in both space and practicality. And at the back here, the Hyundai Tucson boasts a very sizable boot space measuring 582 liters, and this makes it slightly larger than some of its Japanese rivals. But in case you need an extra space, you can always fold down the rear seats to make room for 1,900 liters of boot space. So this is more than enough for your annual IKEA trips, I have to say. But just to show how practical the car is, even with this sizable boot space, the Tucson still has room to house a full-size spare wheel, which is a rarity in many modern cars nowadays. So yes, maybe the Tucson lacks a little bit of additional tech like sunroof or maybe the HUD, but it's hard to argue that the Koreans really win in terms of practicality and space. But now it begs the question, how does the car drive? Let's find out. Alright, so now we're behind the wheel of the new Hyundai Tucson 1.6T Max. So as its name suggests, the Max variant of the Tucson is powered by the 1.6-litre 4-cylinder Smart-Stream turbocharged engine, outputting 178 horsepower and 265 Nm of torque. Yes, on paper, yes, there are more powerful C7 SUVs in the market, but I have to say this engine is just provide enough power for these C7 SUVs. It doesn't so much so that it doesn't feel that you're driving a very slow car or whatever. But I have to say, when you're driving the car in eco mode, mind you, they got 4 selectable driving modes. In the eco mode, the car feels a little bit sluggish. Even the pedal response, the throttle response is a little bit slow, and you can already feel like the 7-speed DCT gearbox, it shifts rather slowly. But once you put on the sport mode, everything starts to feel nicer and smoother. And I have to say, the addition of sport mode in this car really helps to unleash all the potential from the 1.6 liter engine and the DCT gearbox, because if you drive it in the eco mode, it feels like, what is this rubbish gearbox? But once you put it in a sport mode, you can feel okay, not bad. The DCT is not that bad at all. And apart from that, in terms of suspension setup and chassis, this uses the same Hyundai Kia N3 chassis as both the Kia Sorento, the Kia Carnival, even its bigger sibling, the Hyundai Santa Fe and the Staria. So this is a very popular platform in Hyundai Kia's lineup, and it really delivers as what it anticipates. So very agile and handling. Yes, speaking of handling, the handling is very agile, especially for this car of this size, because you really feel like you're driving a much smaller car because of the agility of the handling. Okay, let me try to do U-turn here just to give you. Turning radius is quite okay, but just to show the steering feel, like in many cars nowadays, the EPS steering feels a little bit vague, but not in this one. This one feels very solid, especially in the sport driving mode. And in terms of suspension, you got the multi-link rear setup, so that's why it helps the car to turn corners better. But it is been tuned to a rather softer side, but nonetheless, it's still capable of carving corners in a rather nice manner. And brakes is also quite bitey because it uses ventilated discs for front and the rears. It's actually bitier than the CX-5, that I say. But unfortunately, the only thing that's lacking in this car is actually the tires, because it's using these Nexen tires. I mean, they're not exactly segment leading or industry standards, but it's okay. But could have used better tires, I have to say. But nonetheless, the car is quite a rather enjoyable car to drive, especially if you engage in the sport drive mode. And once you engage in the sport drive mode, of course, the fuel economy drops down to the core. I mean, it's a 1.6 liter turbo, so it's a bit thirstier compared to your NA engines out there. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, the Tucson's suspension setup is a little bit on the softer side, but this is actually good news for the ride comfort, because I have to say, so far I've driven the car and I've asked my friends as a passenger, they say ride comfort is quite nice and decent. I mean, even on like bumpier roads, the car doesn't feel too alarming or too jarring like many other SUVs I've tried before. And in terms of tires, like I mentioned just now, using this Nexen tire, which is it's okay but could have been better. But the tire also contributed to the car's NVH level, because at higher speeds you can really start to notice the tire roars are being quite loud, especially in speeds beyond 120 kilometers per hour and everything. But in terms of wind suppression and everything, the car is quite decent, although not as good as the facelifted CX-5, but it is still alright. Just a faint hint of tire roars, just slightly ruining it. But if you've got better tires, then I think that should be fine. Okay, in terms of safety, of course, this being a Korean car, it comes standard with Hyundai's Smart Sense ADAS functions. It has a slew of ADAS functions as expected. And I have to say, of all the cars that I've tested, I think the Korean ones like the Hyundai and Kia got one of the best and most intuitive ADAS functions I ever tried in many cars. I've tried the Japanese one, I tried even some European brands. I think the Hyundai and Kia it's up there with the Europeans in terms of safety stuff. Okay, the adaptive cruise control, or call it the smart cruise control, is very intuitive because it works in slower traffic. So this is a very ideal thing to have, especially in traffic-laden areas like in KL here. And other function works pretty nicely. The lane keeping assist is not too alarming like many Chinese cars. But I have to say, maybe Hyundai should have added the blind spot view monitor system as we've seen on the Kia Sorento and the Carnival. And maybe, I mean, come on, just get the 360 camera view, because this car only comes with the rear and front camera view, so that could be a bit of problem for somebody who's not familiar with driving with a rather large car like this. But fortunately, the car comes with the built-in tire pressure monitoring system, which unfortunately still lacks in many modern cars out there. I mean, like even the Japanese one, not all of them comes with TPMS. I think it's a shame, because this thing is really good because it helps you to detect any puncture of your tire before your tire actually bursts out or just being completely ruined. And coupled with the full-size spare up there, it really goes to show that even if you have like an emergency puncture situation, you are sorted, because the Hyundai Tucson here got the TPMS, so it helps you to tell when your tire is actually punctured. So I think overall, in terms of safety, of course, this being a Hyundai car is quite top-notch, although it's missing a few key functions. I have to say this is good enough for me, so it's all right. So all in all, after being driven this car for quite some time, I have to say the Hyundai Tucson here is a decent left field alternative to the usual Japanese suspect, thanks to its kooky styling, decent practicality, and quite nice driving dynamics. But like many Korean stuff, it is not cheap because this thing is fully imported from South Korea and it is priced at 195,888, making it quite the same price as the top spec CR-V EHEV-RS and actually more expensive than the CX-5 2.5 turbo high because this is fully imported. So let's explain, it's a rather hefty price tag, but nonetheless I have to say it is quite shame because this is a very nice car. It drives nicely, it looks rather unique and stylish, it's very comfortable, it's got enough luxury but only be bogged down by its CBU fully imported pricing. So I have to say, for Hyundai Malaysia, perhaps for the facelifted version, it might be wise for them to start localizing this car, because I have to say, with the demands for C segment SUVs going up in years to come, I have to say this could be a very stellar competitor in our competitive C segment SUV market. But then again, these are all my thoughts on the new Hyundai Tucson 1.6 Turbo Max here. What do you think about this nice looking Korean SUV? Would you rather take this over any other C SUVs out there? As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. For more content like this, check out caricarzcom.com/news. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.